Hi, today we're going to talk about crafting effective basic prompts. So again, let's revise what prompts are and what is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is this relatively new art and science on the way to optimize prompts to really effectively use large language models. As we go through this series, we'll cover how to start the basic prompts, like the examples we've seen in the previous video, and move forward to the latest research in prompts as well. You may remember from last time that we said there are 4 different types of prompts that are really important: instructions, primary content, cues, and supporting content. Instructions are really what you're asking it to do. So it can be a question or a specific ask you're asking it, or a task you're asking it. Primary content is all about having this text or content and then asking an instruction around that text, like translate the following sentence or summarize the following sentence, and so on and so forth. Cues is guiding points, how you guide it in the way you want the action to happen. And then supporting content is the 4th example, which is you're supporting it with some supporting content that guide it on answering. And all these 4 follow common elements. So the prompt elements that are really important for us to understand are instruction, context, input data, output indicators. Instruction is that specific task or instruction you want the model to perform. Context, as we said, is that content that you want it to do action on. Like when I say summarize, I give it the context, which is the content I want it to summarize. Input data, it can be that input or question that we're interested in finding a response for, especially when we have context. And then output indicator, which is the type of form or format of the output. How do I want that response to be? Do I want it in bullet points? Do I want it in a table? All that I use output indicators for. So let's see an example of that. So I have here this prompt, and let me move my head here. I have this prompt here that says, extract the name of places in the following text. So that's my instruction. It's very clear. And then desired format, I give it place, comma, separated list of company names. And then input, I give it my context. And then at the end, what was the country this is in, which is my input data. You'll see here it was able to respond to that instruction and respond to that input data. And it was able to do it in exactly the output indicator I asked for. And it was able to use my context to answer that question. So as we go through these sessions, and as you go through any prompt engineering course or training or prompt, you'll see something called prompt templates. And prompt templates are nothing but just a prompt with specific variables. So specific things that I'm saying can change within that prompt. Let's say I have this email thanking customer email template or prompt template. I might use it for my company named Duzen, but you might want to use it for your company, say Kuntoso. So the way you do that is I can share with you this template, and then you can replace anything between brackets with your own personal version of it. So you can write your own company name, your own company unique value proposition, and your own name. I wrote it here as Duzen, and this is my company's unique value proposition, and this is my name. And this is really important because as we progress through this training, we're going to see a lot of prompt templates. And we need to understand that variables within the prompt template get replaced. Now I'm going to jump into some of the best practices that OpenAI themselves recommend when writing prompts. The first one here is put instructions at the beginning of the prompt and use like 3 hashes or 3 quotes to separate the instruction and context. It's really important to guide the model itself where your instruction stops and where your content starts. So if I were to summarize the text below as bullet points list of the most important points, and then just put my text, the model itself can get confused, especially if my text seems like it's an instruction. A better way to do that is write the same summarize, but then add your context within a text, and then add, let's say, 3 double quotes at the start of and the end, or 3 hashes at the start and the end. This will give a much, much better response. In some scenarios, you might try it and you'll see both of them give the same response like I am doing now. But this is because, for example, in this example, the content I have is about Egypt. So summarize and content about Egypt, they're already very separate. So it can't get confused, or it won't really get confused from that. However, if there isn't that big variance between the two, it can easily get confused. The second recommendation here is be specific, descriptive, and as detailed as possible. So something like write a poem about OpenAI. Again, this is not descriptive, so it can come up with whatever it wants to come up with. A better way is say exactly what you want from it. So write a short, inspiring poem about OpenAI, focusing on the recent DALL-E product, and write it in the style of a specific famous poet. That's a really detailed and specific way. I know what I'm getting as an output straight away. So again, if I write a poem about OpenAI, you'll see it wrote this very generic poem here. However, let's speed up a little bit and say the same thing, but I said write it with a famous poet. It chose Robert Frost. Of course, I could have written Robert Frost. I should have written Robert Frost here because this is a variable, so I should replace it in that template with my own response. And you'll see the answer is much, much better. The third thing is articulate the desired output format through examples. Sometimes you're not able to explain how exactly you want your output, so explain it with examples. So instead of extract the entities mentioned in the text below and then just give it the text, say extract the important entities mentioned in the text below and say exactly how you want it to look like. So company name, comma separated, people names in that format, and so on. If I do that, you'll see that in the first round, it gave me as bullet points with numbered bullets or ordered bullet points. That's not what I wanted. Now, fast forward into my new way where I wrote the desired format. It's going to give me that desired format. So you'll see here, things are comma separated exactly how I wanted them. Start with zero shot, then few shot examples. If neither of them work, then fine tune. What I mean by that is we've talked about zero shot and few shot last time, but always think that way. Start first with zero shot. If your answer can be done without examples, don't add examples because they will cost you. They're part of the tokens. So don't use them unless you need to. So start with zero shot. If it doesn't come up with good results, then start adding some examples through few shot. If none of them work, that's when you can fine tune. Now, fine tuning only works with DaVinci text completion. It will not work with ChatGPT. And I would avoid it in a lot of scenarios as well. Unless you are technical and you're creating your own app and you want to fine tune. Other than that, I would not recommend going into the fine tuning route. And again, here I wrote the same thing. This is a Microsoft Wikipedia article, and I asked it to extract the entities. You'll see that the second time here, it became much more accurate because I gave it examples of exactly what entities I want extracted. And that's the few shot learning. Reduce fluffy and imprecise descriptions. So something like the description of this product should be fairly short, a few sentences only, and not too much more. It's very generic. A few sentences only can be 3 to 5, can be 10 to 20. So don't do that. Try to be as specific as possible. So use a 3 to 5 sentence paragraph to describe this product is a much, much better way to say it. Instead of just saying what not to do, say what to do instead. So instead of saying don't ask username or password, better is something like whilst refraining from asking any questions related to PII, instead of asking for PII, such as username or password, refer to the user to the following help article. So I guided it what to do, because in the first one, what if it needs to ask about username or password? It doesn't know what to do. So guiding it is a better way. Just like we talked last time about if you want it to not hallucinate, give it that out, give it a way to say, I don't know, is much better than just leaving it to say whatever it feels like. Again, here are examples of both of them. So here it's saying, I'm sorry, can you give me additional information? And now it's going to start trying to collect PII data. Whereas in the second way, it was able to straight away tell the user, go check out this site to find out more about it. So this is also really important. Now, this doesn't really work with chat models. This works with text completion models only. So DaVinci, for instance, because the way text completion works, as we said last time, is it tries to complete what was written by the user. Whereas chat is a two-way conversation between two different people or one person and a bot. So in text completion, if you were to write something like write a simple Python function and then just add an import at the very start here, it's going to continue from that import. Whereas with ChatGPT, think of it as you're chatting with your friend. If you tell your friend imported the start, it's not going to let him or her start with an import. So ChatGPT will still ignore it, but it is an effective model for text Da Vinci or text completion in general. And thank you for watching this video. And again, please subscribe to my channel to see the latest updates and the latest videos I'm posting out around GPT and AI in general.